Hey, what's going on, guys? I want to talk to you guys about the most recent Royal Rumble. I watched it not live because I work Saturday nights right now anyway. So when I got home, I watched it. I have Peacock, and I have Netflix for when things change up. Well, that's only going to be for Raw, so it doesn't even matter. That is so weird. $5 billion, and that's all they're getting is Monday Night Raw. Not, I can understand 5 billion for everything and possibly the content library, but just for Raw is crazy to me. For 5 years, so $1 billion a year. Uh, but I wanted to talk to you guys about the show. I thought overall it was a pretty good show. Um, just it wasn't a standout. I feel like for a while, especially last year, the WWE was cooking with premium live events from I'd say not even Mania, the Elimination Chamber, all the way like to the summertime. I don't even know which one I would say was the one where I felt like it fell off. Maybe SummerSlam, but I think a lot of that had to do with the Jay Roman main event just being a big old disappointment. Not because Jay didn't win, it just Roman matches are super tiresome at this point. I'm sorry, I don't know how else to say it, but I have grown tired of 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 watching them. It's super formulaic, but I'll get into that. So first, they started out with the women's rumble. I went into the event not spoiled except for the fact that I found out Naomi had returned just because of YouTube. You know, being subscribed to the WWE channel, they will post stuff up as it happens. I get it, like keeping engagement in and things of that nature. I understand why they do it, but it sucks when you're trying to avoid things because avoiding social media and stuff to me is easy, but YouTube is a difficult thing because people will throw up spoilers for stuff like that just with the quickness. So I was spoiled about that, but not about the Jordan Grace thing. I didn't know she was going to be there. I was shocked when I saw it. So this felt like more of a TNA type thing than oh Naomi's back, which surprised me. I didn't know that's how it was going down. Um, I was happy. I was more happy for Jordan to be there. I was interested. I've always been interested in seeing how they would use her or how she would look in the WWE, and I think she would be right at home. She has the star power, the presence, the charisma, the look. Even though I miss her other look, like when she was thick, curvy, feminine, but also super strong and athletic. Like I just on a preference level, I will continue to miss that. I can't lie, but she was a standout for me in the women's rumble. Naomi, other than it being surprising that she was back, didn't really stand out to me. Naomi to me is like someone who's like borderline. Like you have the level where they're at now, where you have the Io and the Biancas, the Charlottes, the Beckys, all of these women that are capable of having top tier 4 or 5 star matches, and then you have the tier under that, which is kind of like the gap between Divas era and then the higher caliber. There are a lot of women that I feel like are higher caliber, but they don't always get a chance to show it, like a Candice LeRae. I know what she's capable of, but you would think looking at her, if you don't know her, you would think she's on that lower level. Why do they even keep her? But she's crazy talented. They just never really give her a chance to show it. Um, but Naomi is right in that middle level, like her being a top woman, like a top on the division at this point would just seem crazy to me. It's like her and the Liv Morgan. I respect them as people, and I get why they have their fans and things like that. But just looking at it from a competitive standpoint, they're not really believable to me as someone that you know a Shayna or a Charlotte or a Bianca, whatever, can't beat. It looks so silly to me. Same thing like Alexa Bliss. Like ever putting the women's world title on either show on her again would just look silly compared to all of the women they have on there. It looked silly before, but at least she was doing great character work, so you understood it. Overall, the women's Royal Rumble was cool, but it kind of dragged for me. There wasn't a lot of interesting things going on. Just just too much sloppiness, like especially from Maxine and Ivy, and to a certain extent Naomi. It's just, to me, there's no room for that. You're trying to showcase the importance of women's wrestling. You have all of these women on the roster, and then on NXT that are worthy of being on the main roster. They would be able to kill it, and they're still toiling away on NXT. But then you have call-ups like Maxine and Ivy who are sloppy as hell. Like, how did you call them up? I don't understand. You have NXT right there. Just keep them in the NXT. Have them keep honing their skills. Call them up when they're ready. There's no need to rush anybody at this point. You have the show right there. You have the performance center right there. Don't call people up. Like, you're hurting the brand by having those people be wrestlers that are representing your company, especially for the women who you're. It's still going to be somewhat of a uphill climb, having some people taking women's wrestling seriously. So have like genuine quality wrestlers that are there and ready to go. Like, take all of that into consideration. Don't play around with that. And that's what I feel like they're doing. That like Maxine, how do you do two botch head scissors spots in a row? It's like, I was happy when it was done the first time because it was done. Finally, when they pulled out the head scissors, then they went back to it, and it was just as dog shit. Like, how does that happen? It was like those two in it alone could do a whole episode of Botchamania just in the Royal Rumble. But other than that, you have a lot of women on a roster, but most of them don't matter. It's not even because it's not even about who isn't believable to win. Most people in Royal Rumbles, men or women, they're not believable to win, but you still may enjoy them being in there. They may have something to offer, some sort of entertainment value, whatever. They have some sort of star power in their own. But with this is, there's a lot of women you don't care about, but I appreciate them sticking more to this than let's bring in Divas era women and stuff like that. Let's get Michelle McCool in there. And you don't need to keep doing that. Some surprises, whatever, is cool, but they have more than enough women wrestlers on the roster to fill all of that out. Especially when you start bringing in some women from NXT. Jade finally made her debut. She looked great. Still feels green. It's wild to me that all of this time she still feels green. I don't know if it's ever gonna all the way click with her. Like the star power, the charisma, the look, all of that is there. I'm not talking about that. I mean like the fundamentals, her work in the ring. I don't know if that's ever gonna fully click with her, but she looks great. Bayley won. I gotta assume that. So you go Bayley, Io, Bianca, Jade. Maybe you throw a Charlotte in there if she's gonna be able to wrestle WrestleMania. You do Becky, Rhea, and then you have like a 4-way tag team match with the Kabuki Warriors versus Chelsea Green and Niven and whoever. Kaden and Katana, Baszler and Zoe Stark. You do something like that. I would assume coming out of that, these are 4 matches you can almost guarantee will be at WrestleMania. I mean, I could be wrong, but I feel like that's where they're gonna go with all of those. And I'm cool with that. But other than that, it was a fine, like it was a decent Rumble. It's just, and I think it was better than some that we've already gotten, just because there was even more filler with those because they kept putting in so many women from the past, and it kind of made the women that were there look kind of pale in comparison. It's like we got to bring all these women in just to do this Rumble because we don't have enough women and all that. Now there are plenty of women to pull that off. There's probably, well, I don't think there's any more on the main roster that they could have brought in. But yeah, that's not injured. Liv Morgan came back. I don't know if they thought it was going to be a bigger deal than it was, but I don't think it was. It was what it was. Like great for her. She's back. I don't care. I feel like a lot of people didn't care. But like I said, Liv Morgan she's that level below for me. So her being a realistic candidate to win, and she was there all the way to the end, but her being a realistic candidate is just like I'm not buying that. Sorry. The and a standout for me was Chelsea Green and her comedy elements. R-Truth had his moment of good comedy, and I know R-Truth to some could be tiresome at times. He can be to me too, but I think in this instance, like something like a Royal Rumble, you want to lighten things up, have some fun, break things up. He's perfect for situations like this. And I'm not saying that he doesn't work in other aspects. I'm just saying something like this, a situation like this, perfect. But Chelsea Green was also great with the comedy too. To me, she is the best get back Hunter had in terms of all of the people he brought back that Vince got rid of. Like, she's the one who has excelled the most to me, has made the most of everything that she's been given, and realistically, to me, it's like okay, now I see why you brought these people back. Because for the most part, I'm just like, they could have stayed going. Even someone like a Bronson Reed. It's not that he's doing terrible. He's looking pretty good, having a good feud with Ivar. It's just if he wasn't there, it's not a big deal. I don't think, other than being a fan of him, it's not a big deal. And I think he even worked better on the indie scene to me. I don't know. I feel like he has a ceiling in the WWE, which is fine. A lot of people are going to have a ceiling. Not everyone's going to be a main eventer. I'm just saying, if he was going, it was fine. But Chelsea Green has been really excelling. I feel proud of her for some reason because I've watched her this whole time sort of hone her craft, hone her character. Like, I feel like as she was going, she really was working on things. She got things figured out, and you're seeing it now. And I think her and Piper make a great duo. The undisputed title match, don't care. I don't care about Roman matches anymore. I'm not even gonna try and front on that. It was what it was. You could have had that match on SmackDown. It'd have been fine. You know the beats. You know Solo's gonna come out, and maybe or maybe not a title belt is gonna get involved in terms of cheating. Everyone looked pretty good. There was some good RKO spots. LA Knight didn't look out of place. So all of that is good. It's just let's just hurry this up. So I would assume you're going Roman Cody again. I wasn't sure what they were gonna do, where they were gonna go like Roman Rock for WrestleMania, but I think at this point I don't think that they're gonna do that. Maybe you do that Elimination Chamber, but I don't think they'll do that for WrestleMania. I just want the title off him. Like we need to move on from this phase, and I hope he disappears for a while after he loses. Like maybe let them. Well, I don't know. I was gonna say maybe let them get the follow up win on the whatever like Backlash, whatever the show they do after WrestleMania, and then let him go. But it may even be better if he loses and then sort of disappears and let that guy shine. Then do the get back later. But we'll see. Logan Paul versus Kevin Owens fared much better to me. If you gave Logan Paul the world title, I would be fine with that. I know he's a celebrity, part timer, all of that, but it's like he just gets it. To me, he's more looking at it as another celebrity with a world title, like a David Arquette type of thing. This isn't that to me. Like I feel like in ring, he's really really good, and he has the charisma, he has the star power, he understands character, he understands how to work the fans. It's all clicking to me right now, and he worked great with Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens was allowed to look strong even though he lost, which I think is important. Just like don't downgrade him. Like he's generally a world title contender, so it's like don't downgrade him to while he's on this level on this U.S. title, because technically he's always above it. But you have these guys that they could float from from that belt to the world title, and it's fine. And Kevin Owens, he's one of those people. They allowed him to look strong. Like Logan didn't beat him. He had to cheat to win. So you could run this back, then have Logan win definitively. But either way, Kevin Owens still looks strong. Logan Paul still looks strong from a character perspective because this is what he would do. He would cheat to win. Really enjoyed that match. Probably was my favorite match of the show. Just looking at it from an overall perspective. Then you get to the men's rumble. Wasn't a lot of huge surprises or anything like that. Rock didn't show up, which I'm fine with. I didn't need him winning or stealing shine from people or anything like that. You don't need a ton of that right now. But even with, I realized with both rumbles, you didn't have a lot of like fun, almost eliminations. You had some of that, but you have Katana, Kofi, and Naomi in rumbles, and none of them are doing like interesting, almost elimination spots. They're just losing at this point. I feel like they've almost kind of like given up the ghost on Kofi because he's screwed up the almost eliminations twice at this point. So it's kind of like they don't even want to risk it, like trying to set up around this big spot if he's not going to be able to pull it off. So it is what it is with him. But you could have had more fun with that, and they're not doing that. But the match was cool. It had more flow it had a much better flow than the women's rumble, but not a ton of it stood out to me, if you know what I'm saying. I'm continued to be impressed with Drew McIntyre. I was at the point where I would have been happy with him leaving last year. Not even being like, boo, get out of here. It's just, I don't know what else he could do here, but I think he's really found something with this new character, and I think it could push him much further along. I was happy for Gunther to have a good showing. With Punk being injured, which I just found out about, he's not going to make WrestleMania. I'd be perfectly fine with them going Seth versus Gunther. Don't have Gunther lose the IC title. Have him win the world title while he still has the IC title. Just allow him to keep being dominant. There aren't that many people once you get past, Cody, that you can do this with. You could do Jey Uso Gunther, definitely, but I don't know where you go with Seth, honestly, if he doesn't have Punk. You could do Drew McIntyre or whatever, but that's... While I've been impressed with Drew McIntyre, that for a WrestleMania match doesn't really get me hyped, but it wouldn't be a terrible option. I think they have a really good match. It just, I don't know. I don't know what you do with Orton at this point. I don't know. There's some wrestlers where like I don't know where they're gonna go going into WrestleMania. They may just slap some people together. Like, let's just do AJ and Orton because what else are we gonna do with them? Things of that nature. I don't know where they are to go. But we end up having Cody winning again. I don't have a problem with that. It's just that running it back is just... Why are we doing this? Why didn't you just have him win last year? I get it, the 1,000 days and all of these things with the records, but all of that stuff just kind of doesn't matter at this point. And now we're at a point where we're just begging... Well, not everyone, but a lot of us are just begging Roman to lose. Just, let's figure this out. Just because now everything he does, it becomes formulaic because he's going to overcome at the end. It's cool with like the chasing the giant and things of that nature, having fun with that. But then there becomes a point where you start getting diminishing returns, and we've hit that for a while now. And like I can't even really remember any great matches under Roman's regime. Like I can think of some like quality ones, like the matches with Sami and Cody and stuff like that. But I just mean like for this to be going on for years, he should have like a crazy string of 4 or 5-star candidates in matches, and he doesn't really have that. And now it's some of that steam is lost because Cody was coming off of that big injury and he had all of this momentum behind him last year. Now he has momentum, but it's kind of been he almost got kind of turned into a joke with the whole finish the story thing because he didn't finish it, and now he could finish it now, but they should have just went with it beforehand. Now it just seems kind of lazy and almost like too little, too late. And it isn't because I do believe Cody's going to make a good world champion. It is good for the company. It's not company's not going to falter under him, or he's not going to be a failure as champ because they waited a year. It's just I feel like they should have struck while the iron was hot, and that was last year, not this year. Um, in terms of like other matches, like I said, the ones I thought I could see, but yeah, it's much more up in the air with the men in terms of what they're gonna do, especially with injuries and things like that going on. So yeah, that one is a lot harder to call. I I ended up feeling like the women's rumble was pretty decent. Um, the world title match was pretty decent. I thought the U.S. title match was really good, and I thought the men's rumble match was pretty good. There just wasn't. Yeah, I don't. Oh, I forgot to say that Andrade is back, which is cool. Like I'm a big fan of Andrade, so I didn't mean to like forget about him because everything happened 2 days ago, so I'm kind of like forgetting certain things that happened, but like certain big things. Um, but overall, I thought it was a pretty good show. It's just that fire that they had months ago. I feel like it's been faltering, and then the the premium live events in recent memory just haven't been that great. Just haven't been that standout. Great moments, great matches, whatever. But I mean, like from overall perspective, they're just not cooking the way they were mid, early into to mid 2023. That's all. But overall, I did enjoy the show. I was happy to watch it. I just hope with the rumbles that you have a better flow. You have more stories going on, a little bit more fun. You have eliminations. You can remember some more interesting matchups that you can sort of hang on in your head. Things you wouldn't normally see. Because even so, like especially with brand splits and all that, we don't really have that these days. With the oh my god, this person trying to think like, oh my god, Shawn Michaels and Eddie Guerrero are facing off because once they really got things firmly done, you weren't going to see Shawn wrestling Eddie because they were firmly on different shows. It was like the late 2000s before Shawn got on Raw, and Eddie had passed away before he could get back to really being on Raw and things of that nature. So but now it's just you're used to all of these combinations, so it's just not as interesting from that standpoint. That standpoint either. You didn't have the Brock thing going on because of what's going on with the Vince and the scandal and Brock kind of being involved in that. So I felt like that kind of opened things up, and I think Braun Breaker got that spot for Brock, and I was happy to see that. Like they better stop playing. Like I know Carmelo basically is on the main roster right now, but Tiffany, Braun, and Carmelo better just be on the main roster proper once WrestleMania is all said and done. Like by the night after WrestleMania, or the week after WrestleMania, if you put any of them on SmackDown, they better just be there. Like don't play around with that. They have nothing left to do on the NXT. You got to move on with some of these people. But I just noticed like there was no like Pete Dunne or Tyler Bate. There was some people that you would expect to see that you didn't, but they have some packed rosters here, so I understand certain people not getting in. But that's my thoughts on the Royal Rumble as a show. Not a great show, but not a terrible show. Anyone makes you feel that way, I think they would be crazy to say that this was a terrible show. Just nothing that super stood out. That's my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts on the show overall. Did you enjoy it? How much? Were there any surprises for you? Let me know what you thought about things that I said. Just keep the engagement going. That helps along with the views and the subscribing. Keeping conversations and stuff going on in the videos that helps bring attention to the channel as well. So thanks for everyone for watching and listening. Bye for now.